This summer, I broke up with someone. Now, I'm not great with awkward situations, and for me, breaking up was a really awkward situation. So I did what anyone would do when faced with an awkward situation. I Googled it, and that night, I opened tab after tab after tab until suddenly Brexit popped up on my newsfeed. And it was like a light had suddenly switched on, and my mind, in this bizarre way, started drawing all these connections and links between Brexit and breakup. And then I had an idea. If you think about it, Brexit is kind of like a breakup, isn't it? I mean, here you have the UK trying to get out of a long-term relationship with the EU, albeit that's lots of politicians and legislations thrown in. But anyway, I completed my research and came up with 4 key points on how not to have a breakup. Number 1, do not send mixed messages. There is never a time after a relationship where friends with benefits is a good idea. While half the UK wanted to leave, the other half wanted to stay, organizing countless of marches for Europe and even London wanting independence. All these made EU negotiations difficult because any decision is bound to be criticized by one side or the other. Number 2, the breakup should be quick. Don't just ignore their WhatsApps and hope they get it. After the referendum in June, it took 3 months for the PM to announce that Brexit was actually going to happen, and it will be a further 5 months before Britain officially starts to leave. All these delays may have bought the UK a bit of time, but it has cost the EU a great deal of time and money, having to put a stop to all trade negotiations, waiting for the UK to have an answer. Which brings me to my 3rd point, revenge. As much as you may hate one another, revenge is never the answer. The EU, hurt that its 2nd biggest economy wanted to leave, laid down an ultimatum. There will be no negotiation until Article 50 has been triggered. Now, this is the greatest form of political revenge, because once Article 50 has been triggered, the UK only has 2 years to renegotiate more than 200 agreements, which took 4 decades to create. Unfortunately, the PM retaliated by threatening to make life more difficult for EU migrants. Last but not least, compromise is key. As a couple, you buy lots of stuff together, and when you break up, you have to divide it as equally as possible. This means that the caffeine addict gets the Nespresso machine. The movie buff, he gets the Netflix subscription. Don't do what the UK did and demand full access to the EU single market, but refuse any of the responsibilities such as paying into the EU budget or opening their borders to free migration. And so, armed with these 4 points, I called him, and the following week, we broke up. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't really think it would work, but it did. And if this relationship has taught me anything about living in a post-Brexit world, it is to have hope. Because right now, we're living in an extraordinary point in European history where we have the chance to learn from the mistakes of our previous generation and to be the change that we want to see. And though I'm scared to think that the future of any country would rest on shoulders like mine, as the great Lindsay Addario once said, there is nowhere I would rather be than at the front line of history. Thank you.